Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes.
Hey guys, Amber here with a Meeple family, and today I am going to be doing a fan-made solo playthrough of Hidden Leaders. So like I was stating, this is completely fan-made, and the directions for this were not in English, so I had to use Google Translate, and I have played this probably close to 20 times in order to solidify and make sure I'm understanding the rules. So keep that in mind as you watch this. I love sharing videos like this because a lot of people don't realize that there's these fan-made solo variants out there, so you can still table the game you love even if you don't have the people to play with. Now, I personally thought this variant did a really great job allowing you to still feel like you were playing Hidden Leaders, even at that solo player count. So I'm excited to share this. I've enjoyed it. You know, it may not be for everybody, but I've really loved playing it. So of course, I wanted to share it on the channel. Now, I'm assuming you already know how to play Hidden Leaders, so I'm not going to go over any of the rules, but I will be addressing as I play the game how the solo variant works. Now, setup is pretty similar to the standard game. I've got my 6 Hidden Leaders here, so I'm going to go ahead and shuffle those, and one is going to be given to my AI, and I will take one, of course, and just like the normal game, these can be removed. We won't need them. All right, and the next thing we're going to do is grab our deck of cards here. Now we're going to shuffle our hero deck, and each player will get their 5 starting hand of hero cards. So for the hero's starting hand, we are going to take one, and it is going to be one of their hidden heroes. Now I tuck it under the hidden leader just so I don't get confused from other face down cards that they're going to have in their party or display area. Next, we're going to put 3 cards face down. Now the one closest to their hidden leader is going to be, for purposes of understanding and refilling, is card 1, 2, and 3. And the last card of their 5 card hand will go into the wilderness. And they are actually ready to start the game at this point. So now I can look at what I have here. So it looks like I am aligned with the undead and the hill tribes. So knowing that, I am going to go ahead and put one of my undead heroes face down. And again, I'm just going to tuck that under my leader as well. And I am going to send this guy to the wilderness. So now I and the AI have our starting hand, and I totally forgot to fill up the tavern. So the tavern is going to be, position 1, 2, and 3. 1 being closest to the harbor and 3 being closest to the graveyard. And that's going to kind of shift and refill similar to the AI's hand. Of course, if you wanted to change that element, that is totally up to you. But for the purposes of this playthrough, that's what I'm going to be doing. Now, I always get to go first. So the first thing I'm going to do is play this hero here into my party. It is going to give me a +2 for the Red Imperial and a +2 for the Hill Tribes. Then it says I can bury one of my face-up heroes and one of my opponents. Well, unfortunately, my opponent doesn't have a hero to bury, but I do, this card being face up, so that will get buried. Now I just need to do my next step, which is getting up to 4 cards in my hand. Since I am aligned with the hill tribes, it probably wouldn't hurt to take one of these into my hand, and then I'm also going to draw one from the harbor. Well, I think I'm going to discard this waterfolk card, and these are going to slide over. That's just going to help us replenish this tavern area, and that is the end of my turn. So now it is going to be the AI's turn. So during the AI's turn, they are always going to play the hero in their 1 slot. So that is going to be this hero here, which, let me move these up a little bit, which to start the game is going to be a waterfolk. So the first thing we're going to do is carry out the actions on their card. So they've got -2 or -1 for the hill tribe. So what we have to do is now look at their motivation. So the way the AI's motivation works, and basically how you make decisions for the AI, is to first look at the faction they have most in their collection of face-up heroes. So obviously starting the game here is the waterfolk. So that is going to be what they're focused on right now, is winning as the waterfolk. Now, if by chance they had tied factions, the next thing we would look at is their faction group where they have more than us. So a particular faction group where they're leading in that particular faction of face-up heroes. But for this one, it's pretty easy because we know that they want to align with the water folk. So the best thing for us to do for their motivation is just to move the hill tribes back one space. That still keeps the water folk winning. So the next thing we do is we're going to look at the first card in the tavern, and we decide if that is going to help them or hurt them as far as what their current motivation is. Now, this one actually wouldn't be that detrimental because it's going to keep the hill tribe within that proximity that they're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and put that face down in their third slot. Now, because we chose the first tavern card, we're also going to discard the top of the harbor. And by chance, if we hadn't chosen this card, we would discard this one and refill our third spot with a harbor card. Now we're ready to refill the tavern and play will continue back to us. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and play this hero here, an undead card, and I can minus either the Red Imperial or Hill Tribe. I'm just going to minus the Hill Tribe, and I can also bury any one turn down hero. So it doesn't specify that it has to be mine, so I'm definitely going to bury my opponent's hero. So they had an undead that is now buried, which is actually really good for me because at the end of the game, they could have used that to try to win against me. Well, I think I might take this Hill Tribe card as well as one from the harbor, and I am going to discard this here, and we will refill and play will continue to our opponent. So they are going to do a +1 and a +2. And it says they may exchange the top card from the graveyard with one of your face-up cards. Well, technically, based on the situation we have here, since they have a tie of factions, they then look over at mine, and they're still going to be wanting to root for the water folk. So gathering this into their collection isn't really going to help them do that. So that would conclude their turn. So now we're gonna look here and decide if this is going to help or hurt them. And I'm thinking if they took this card, it's only gonna move these into the undead zone. So I am going to opt to take a card for them from the harbor, and this one will go into the wilderness. And we'll refill this and play will continue to me. Well, I am definitely going to play this one here, which is going to be +2 Hill Tribe, +2 Imperial Army, getting me a little closer to my personal goal of getting these into the undead territory. Now, I'm not really seeing anything here that looks super helpful, so I'm gonna actually draw 2 cards from the harbor, and I think I'm going to send this guy to the wilderness, and we are going to start on the opponent here. Okay, so this says if there is a leading marker, -1, so that's going to obviously be the hill tribes, and +1 to the trailing marker. So they have just switched spaces. This card here, the Friendly Frog Mage, is definitely going to help the AI's objective. So this is going to go face down. We will discard the Harbor card, refill the tavern, and it is back to me. Well, I think what I am going to do is play this Curious Cat Lover. And it says +1 to the Imperial Army. Also, I will draw 1 card from another player's hand and place it into my face down heroes. So the way you do this is actually you're going to just get these out of order just by chance that we were, keeping track of what cards they had. And I will grab 1. And that is going to go into my face down heroes. Okay, now I just need to refill up to 4. This one could be helpful, and I will draw 1, I think. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so I think I'm going to actually discard that one. Refill here, and play is over here to the AI. Oh, they are playing a Hill Tribe card. So we have +1 and +1. That's great for me. And they have place 1 card from your hand into your hidden heroes. So that is going to be this last card here. Now this part I found a little bit lacking in the rules, right? Because I now have to refill 3 cards. So the first thing I'm going to do, or how I tackle this situation, is basically I'm always going to look at this first card here in the tavern. And this actually is going to help them because they really need to get the Imperial Army and the Hill Tribe out of the undead territory. And this at least gives them some of those minus actions. So we're going to put that face down. We are also going to refill from the harbor until they have at least 3. And then at that point, we will just refill the tavern as normal. I don't really want to play this one yet because I'd really like to get some more powerful cards out there. Although this mercenary here wouldn't be terrible. But the problem is that it goes into my face down heroes, and that's really not going to help me at the end of the game. So I think what I am going to do just to try and secure some victory here is play the Blind Eye Collector. And that is going to be a +1 and a 1/2 +3 for the Hill Tribe. So now I am ready to refill. I think I'm actually just gonna draw. I'd like to keep that. It's not really gonna help me. So I'm gonna discard my Hill Tribe one because at this point I feel like I've got most of my eggs in the basket of winning with the undead. So I'm gonna keep going down that road. Okay, so we have a Hill Tribe. So we have a -1 for the Imperial or -2 if the marker is the leading marker. Well, it's not technically the leading marker because it's tied, so they're just going to go back 1. So let's look and make sure their motivation is still the same so we know what cards to put into their hand. Based on what we see here, we are both tied for having the most face-up heroes of this particular faction, which means they're still going to be rooting for the water folk. So we're going to go ahead and draw from the harbor and discard this Hill Tribe card. I think I might play this one here. This says that I can take 1 card from the tavern, and I think I'm going to take this one. It says perform that card's ability as if you played it, and then it's going to go in my face down heroes. So this one says I can pick 1 card from the tavern, perform the card's ability as if you played it, then bury it. So I'm going to go ahead and put this face down here. I think I am going to go ahead and play this one. Now, when you play a card that maxes out, you just go to as far as you can. So that's as far as I can go with that card. So now at this point, I need to draw 2 cards to get my hand limit where it needs to be and send 1 to the wilderness. And I think I am going to send, okay, I think I'm going to send this one and we'll refill this. Now let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're about to play 6. So the game is going to stop once we have 8 face-up heroes. All right, they are adding a Red Imperial Army. So we have -1 or +1. Well, obviously the -1 is going to benefit them the most. And they can bury any one face-up Hill Tribe. Well, I think they're going to go after me and bury one of mine. Well, it looks like they are still trying to win with the water folks. So they are not going to be interested in that card. Taking 1 from the harbor and refilling the tavern. My turn. Let's see what I can do. I am going to try this one. This could be a bad decision. It says to turn over one of your face down heroes, perform its abilities as if you played it. So I'm going to need to turn this over. Okay, so this one says +1 to the Imperial Army or to the Hill Tribe. All other players have to discard 1 card from their hand. So we'll just take 1 from our AI and discard that. And I need to draw, and I'm going to discard this one here. Okay, so they are going to play their next hero. -2 if you have 1 or more undead hero in your party, which they do. So 1, 2. All right, so let's see. This is not going to benefit them. So we'll discard that, and we will refill till they have their 3 and refill the tavern. Well, I think I am going to play this undead card. It is +1 to the Imperial Army or to the Hill Tribe. I am choosing to move the Imperial Army. And then I can take 1 card from the graveyard into my hand, and I still need to draw 1 more card. I think I'm actually going to get this one, and I am going to discard this one here. We will refill the tavern. Okay, so I have 7 heroes, and actually they also have 7. So this hero they flip up is actually going to be the last last hero added to the game. They have a -2 Imperial or -2 to the Hill Tribe. That is only going to get them right there, which still is going to lock in a winning victory for the undead. So at this point, just like in a normal game, we can discard the heroes in our hand. They are no longer going to be of value to us. And we can turn up our hidden heroes here and add them to our collection. Okay, and the way the AI scores at the end is no matter what their agenda is here on their hidden leader, they always win whatever the winning faction was. Okay, so for instance, they are aligned with the undead and the water folk. That really doesn't mean anything because even if they had been aligned, let's say with the Imperial or the Hill Tribe faction, they would still claim victory with the undead because they're always aligned with whatever faction wins. The only benefit that this face down hero gives them is if by chance it does reveal the same faction as the faction that won, they simply get to put another winning faction card into their display. And then we will resolve who the winner is. Well, just like in the base game, since we both tied, we're then going to look at a tiebreaker solution. So just to be clear, in the solo variant, you always tie. So you're always going to want to build your heroes with that in mind, knowing that you not only have to get these markers in the correct formation, you also need to outplay that particular faction against the AI. So you've always got to be thinking about that in the solo variant of this game. And you also have to consider that if by chance their hidden leader does match the winning faction, they're going to get that bonus card. So you kind of are always, unsure of where their allegiance truly is and if they're going to get that bonus card. So I always play really heavy on whatever faction I'm rooting for. So as I was saying, just like in a tiebreaker, we then look at who has the most of that winning faction, which in this situation, I would win because I have the most undead face-up heroes. Now, let's take a look at a different scenario just to make sure this is clear. If by chance, let's say the Hill Tribe won, well, you can see that they are not aligned with the Hill Tribe. Doesn't matter. They still would claim victory and tie with you. They just wouldn't get an extra bonus card because neither of the factions on their hidden leader matches the winning faction. So they wouldn't get the extra bonus card. So then we would look at the tiebreaker. And in that scenario, the AI would have actually beat me because they have 3 Hill Tribe heroes, whereas I only have 2. So hopefully that gives you an understanding of how the endgame conditions work in the solo variant of Hidden Leaders. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this solo playthrough of Hidden Leaders. Again, this is a fan-made variant. I am going to put the link of the fan-made variant down in the description below because I really think the fan that created this did an awesome job. And I hope the designers might, check out the gameplay and see maybe there are some things they can do to make this even better and launch some type of a expansion for a solo mode. I have really enjoyed playing this. I know not everyone will, but I wanted to share it in case you've got this game on your shelf and maybe you want to give it a try. Well, as always, thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you later.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes.